Why, hello there, my name is Mowmaster. I am the developer of Pedestals, a mod for 1.16 of Minecraft Forge. Today, I have had a few comments here and there throughout the week on various places online going, "Hey Mo, I've been playing with your mod and this or that, so can't figure out how it works." So today I'm gonna go over the basics, and this is kind of the start of me video documenting. So we're gonna do some VDocs on kind of how the mod plays out and how it works. And yeah, I guess we will get started. So, start off with, the mod is super simple to get into. Your biggest, hardest challenge is getting a diamond. So that makes your linking tool. This is a tool that you will use throughout pedestals for all sorts of things, whether it be crafting based items or linking pedestals or getting information for pedestals. It's super useful. You must have. Next up on our list is the pedestal. The linking tool is not consumed in this recipe, so no worries. And yeah, make a pedestal. That is how you do things. Linking pedestals is pretty simple. You just click. When you click on a pedestal, shift right click, it gives you kind of an area of effect. So if you place a pedestal, say here, try to link it, it's too far to connect. So you have to be within this sparkly particle area. Yeah. But once they're linked, you can transfer items. So it links backwards. You shift right click the pedestal receiving items, and you shift right click the pedestal accepting items. Doing the process again removes the connection. It's still stored in the wand until you shift right click on the ground. So that is how you link pedestals together. Pedestals have another unique feature where you're not limited to just facing them on the ground. If you want them upside down, by all means, upside down is the way to go. Side to side, don't matter. Just have fun. Whichever direction you feel is fine, go that route. But just one thing to note, there is a little bit of terminology that I use and will use throughout the series, and that is in reference to the facing of the pedestal. This, I would say, is facing up. The large part here is the bottom. The smaller part here is the top, and that's the middle. And this is facing directionally up. There is a few upgrades that have an area of effect, and that area of effect starts from the bottom of the pedestal going upwards. So if you have it facing on a wall, the area of effect will affect the area around it and the area in that direction. So depending on how it's facing, it will function, its area of effect will function slightly different. So like I said, a lot of them have like a 3x3, so 1, 2, 3 blocks by 1, 2, 3 blocks, 3x3, and then a height. Again, placing on the wall, your 3x3 is now on the wall, and your height is facing out from the wall. So yeah, something to keep in mind. Also to keep in mind, the block below the pedestal is this block. When placing on a wall, that position changes to being this block. So that is just something else to keep in mind when you are going through the tutorials. I use that terminology a lot. Bottom of the pedestal, direction the pedestal's facing, some stuff like that. So that's just some basic terms that you need to know, because these things can be placed at all sorts of different funky directions. And yeah, it's just a good idea to know which way is which. Onward from there, we have our base upgrade, or our upgrade base, if you will. This is used for making all of the other upgrades in the mod. All the other upgrades can also be used as a base as well. That option is up to you, and if you use too much gold to make upgrade bases, you can smelt them back down into gold bars. Not a problem at all. So again, the wand is not consumed in this recipe, and there you go. You get an upgrade base, and it's used for all sorts of things. Lastly here, if you like colorful things in your life, the color palette is for you. Pedestals can be colored as long as they don't have any other items inside of them. I haven't figured out programming-wise how to make it work where you can color them anytime you want. So right now, if you place them on the ground, you kind of color them second, and then you add your upgrade to it. So that's kind of how that works. Upgrades, there are basically a ton of different options for colored pedestals, from black to white or stone colored. You have green and red and yellow and red and purple and lighter green or blue, I don't know, whatever color that is. You have all these different colors of pedestal. They're all called pedestal because they're all pedestals. Regardless of color, they all work the same. So there is the only preference is your preference for color. The coloring system is pretty easy. It's an RGB based system, so red, green, and blue. You can color as many color palettes at once as you please. Yeah, you just use up a little bit of color for every time you try. So for this example, I'll just be using different color combinations with one color palette at a time. But if you color a color palette, you can recolor it with no need to craft it back into a regular one or anything. You just redo the recipe thing. So how the recipes are handled is you'll need your wand. So you've got to have your wand. We'll do let's do 3 red dye and a blue dye. That makes this color. Honestly, it's kind of a fancy ass color. I like that. Ooh, yeah. Maybe we want more of a green. Maybe green and blue. Maybe you like green and blue. I don't know. That's actually a really pretty good. Wow. Every time I do this, I surprise myself. I forget all the different color combinations in here because there's just 64 different options. I don't know. Which option do you want? I really don't know. Let's go with that one. Ooh, that's kind of an interesting one. I don't know if I like that color, but if you want like a solid blue, you can obviously go with the solid blue. I think that's a yellow if I remember correctly. I did not make that correctly. Was that always going to be a teal color or a cyan? Is that a cyan? I can't remember my color combinations, honestly. There's yellow. I knew one of those combinations was yellow. Shoot, man, I feel bad for not knowing how to color things. Not gonna lie, this is a brand new system for pedestals for me, so being able to color them in all the fancy colors is new and exciting. But basically, you never use more than 3 colors. If you use over 3 colors, it just overlaps. So using 4 is the same thing as using 1. So yeah, that's kind of how that color system works. So yeah, there's really no reason to use any more than 3 of each color out in a single recipe. But yeah, you have, like I said, 64 different combinations. The absence of color makes black, and it's a very, very dark pedestal color. So last but not least, with the pedestals, you can add glowstone to them. And if we do time set night here, you'll notice that this actually lights up the pedestals area around it. So if you want to do it that way, you can. And if you want your glowstone back, you can just break it and you get your glowstone back. So that is kind of nice. But yeah, so that is the basics to pedestals. I think that pretty much covers all the basic necessities for getting started. Just a few things to keep in mind here at the end. A lot of pedestals require an inventory below them for inputs. So your import, your furnace, your crusher, your sawmill, your milker all require an input below them in order to pull an input out of. And the output typically goes in the pedestal itself to be transferred off. A lot of upgrades like the smelter or the teleporter, which is brand new, they require their fuel source to be placed on them, or not placed on them, dropped on them rather. For example, chorus fruit. And you see a little particle come down, so now it has fuel, and if I right click on it, it tells me fuel left, 256. So I guess that's one thing I didn't mention. You can right click any upgraded pedestal, and it gives you typically sending to these pedestals, speed upgrade, capacity upgrade, and fuel is only reserved for like the teleporter, the smelter, the crusher, some of those ones that require fuel. The milker does not require fuel because the player doesn't need fuel. So I guess for example, I'll grab the smelter and I'll show off even lava buckets work on these. This was actually a fun one to implement, getting the lava bucket to work. So there you go. That's how you fuel some of these. So I'm trying to think, is there any other weird things to know about? A lot of your block placers will break the block below the pedestal. Your area of effect things will affect around the and up. I mean, that's a lot of the pedestals. The filters typically require an inventory below it to check to see if anything matches, and then it will allow those items to pass through or not. What else am I missing? The upgrades can be used to upgrade your pedestals for speed and more transferring at one time. The experience upgrades can only send experience to other pedestals with those upgrades. So that's why like the relay exists, to relay XP across multiple pedestals if you need to. The XP magnet only sucks up experience. But one thing, I've been playing with this mod myself, because, you know, I enjoy playing with my own mod. It's kind of nice. I actually came across it today. Bottle of Enchanting is such a pain to get a hold of. At least in vanilla it is. In modded it's not too bad, but in vanilla you have to go to the nether and get a brewing stand. Get yourself a villager to turn into a cleric using the brewing stand. Trade with your villager until you get the Bottle of Enchanting trade, and then you can get your Bottle of Enchanting. Typically, my recommendation is you make your magnet first. If you collide with the pedestal, so if you like jump up on the pedestal, it will suck your experience out of your body and add it to the coin itself, and you can see XP level stored, so it stores it in the coin itself. And then you can send it off to another pedestal, like an anvil pedestal, and that will consume the experience. Or the tank will just store 100 levels, or the bottler, which is recommended to get more bottles. So theoretically, to start off with the experience upgrades, you really need 2 bottles of enchanting to get started, and then you can basically start to produce your own bottles of enchanting with the bottler, which is handy to make all the other upgrades because, yeah. Alright, that is way long of a video, and I'm sorry for taking up your time, but that is how to get started and some of the minor details for if you want to kind of just play with the mod yourself. There you go. Like I said, I'll continue to do these video documentations on the upgrades as I have time. So thanks for watching today. We will see you next time. Have a good day, have a good night, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.